The mighty Electro Harmonix POG 2 is an absolute classic of the modern pedal era. So many different players have integrated this into their rig, and I will look at any excuse to crank my POG during the day. I've used it a lot over the years, tracking on various sessions, in particular with a bunch of older ragdoll songs. Just adds girth, dimension, and that kind of scuzz and character that you're often looking for in the studio. Speaking of studios, the reason I wanted to do this video was I was watching the Premiere Guitar video looking at a bunch of Nashville studio players' rigs, and like everyone's got a POG or a micro synth or the POG 3 or some kind of funk machine that can do a bunch of really weird sounds that they probably need every now and then. And if you watch the video, they all kind of mention, whether it's Tom Bukovac or Rob McNelley, they're like, oh yeah, every now and then, you do this one specific thing. So I thought it might be fun to try to recreate some of those sounds. And we'll start with the single Octave Up from the Tom Bukovac rig rundown. That's one of the all-time classic rig rundowns, not only for the rig, but just for all the advice and playing that Tom offers up. So I'm going to try to recreate something similar to what he's doing in that video and just take it in my own direction. So here's an octave up only from the POG on a clean sound with a bunch of time-based effects. There's a similar thing on the Rob McNelley rig rundown where he talks about using a 2 octave up only setting on there to kind of sound like a keyboard. I'm fairly certain he combines it with a vibrato effect and again some more delay and reverb. So let's have a crack at that sort of thing. This would be perfect if you want a keyboard style part but you don't have access to a keyboard player, a keyboard, or you just want to keep everything guitar, something like this. And there is, of course, the classic Kurt Rosenwinkel guitar synth attack destroyer thing that you can do with the Pog where you basically use the dry effects only on here to use the attack function on there. Now, Electro Harmonics make a bunch of different pedals that have this feature in there. So if you only wanted this for the sort of Rosenwinkel sound, I think you could probably just get one of their other pedals. But, you know, as we've heard so far, having a Pog on your board is so awesome. Now, in some other universe where I could play jazz, this might actually sound something like Kurt Rosenwinkel, but here's the worst jazz playing you're going to hear all year on YouTube with the Pog 2 attack setting. Kind of works pretty well with a whole bunch of distortion on there, again, for the sort of auto volume swell style effect. Because the Pog's like always processing your dry signal though, as you get more extreme with some of these effects, and in particular the filtering and the detune on there, it does mutilate your dry signal, but I think it does it in a way that has a whole lot of character, which is pretty cool. So my main use for this pedal and my go-to is the octave down style effect on there, and either processing the octave down with a little bit of dry signal or a lot of dry signal, and then using the effects section on there either only on the octave down, so you make the octave sound super crap and you run it basically mixed in with your pristine guitar signal on there, but as we've heard, the Pog doesn't keep things too pristine, or you again use the dry effects function on there and you use a bunch of filtering on your dry guitar sound and you run it into a bunch of distortion, you know, bringing the extra giant chungus, and again using the filtering. I'll probably use a bit of detune on there at some point, and then changing the Q on the filter as well. So you get a bit of that fixed wah sound, and yes, I know that a wah is a bandpass filter and not a resonant low pass filter, but you know, for all intents and purposes, on a dirty guitar sound, it does a very similar thing where it gives it that nice knee in the groin. I mean, the mid-range, so let's hear that. Is Pog is good. I'd love to hear how you're all using the Pog in your rig. Even better if you've got recordings of you playing it with your band or on sessions that you've done. Send them over. I'm always looking for new stuff to listen to and new ways to get inspired. That Premiere guitar video I will link in the video description. It is pretty amazing just seeing how so many of these top tier players use so many common elements in their rig, yet they still maintain their own unique sound. And it's similar to the whole modelers versus real pedal boards or real amps thing. Like, if you can't get it to sound like you, the problem isn't the gear. And I will leave you all with that little morsel to chew on. If you like what I'm doing here on the channel, various ways to support me in the video description. I'll see you on the next one.